guys, April Garfoli here, Recovery Concepts and Consulting. This is Rehab for the Soul, session number 2, entitled How to Find Your Authentic Self. Alright guys, so here's the scoop. If you watched the first video, which hopefully you did, we kind of have to recap a little bit. You're going to want to go back and watch it if you haven't, because this video isn't going to flow as nicely as it should if you didn't see the first one, right? That's why they're in, numerical order. So the first video we talked about why drugs and alcohol are not the problem. We established what the problem is, which is detachment from authentic self, and that's something that's in the soul. And we started to talk about how to fix it. I started to give you guys an idea of what the problem was and how to fix it. And one of the things I talked about was working from the inside out. So in this video, what I want to give you is basically 3 simple steps on how to become reacquainted and start living true to your authentic self. I know that sounds very simplified, and that's what we want to do. We want to keep it simple in general. So you're going to really want to stay tuned for this one. Just 3 simple steps are going to get you right back on track. Maybe simple doesn't always equal easy, right? So quick question for you guys. Who are you? I know, quick, easy question. Who are you really? Who are you really? Do you know? When I used to work in inpatient rehab and traditional treatment facilities, that would always be kind of one of my first assignments I would give to almost everybody. And back then I was working with all adult males, and it would be very dramatic, because I would get that sheet of paper out and I would write on the top of it these 3 words. And usually I would get one of 2 responses. They would either A, shit themselves and tell me to go fuck myself, because this is something, especially to the addict and alcoholic, might be unknown or very scary, okay, this concept of this. And if they didn't usually, shit themselves and tell me they're not going to do it, they would take the complete opposite approach, and they would say, oh, they knew who they were, and they would go and they would give me this paper and they would write it within a matter of 20 minutes and they would send it back to me, and it would be all prim and proper, and it wasn't that they were answering the question, who are you? They were answering the question of who they thought I wanted them to be. I'm going to let that sink in, because that right there, those 2 responses are how a lot of us handle our authentic self. We either, number 1, run from self because we have fear of who we really are, or number 2, we pretend to be someone else. And I don't know, guys, which one is more painful, or, they're both just sad. It's really, really sad. And no wonder you turn to drugs and alcohol and other unhealthy coping mechanisms. People pleasing is a whole problem in and of itself. And where we learn this from is, deep down inside, we really do know who we are. We do. And that's why we're so painfully aware of when we're not being true to ourselves. And how do we know we're not being true to ourselves? Well, we feel those feelings of fear and abandonment and betrayal and depression and anxiety, shame, guilt. We feel all that. There's that detachment there. And so when we're not living true to ourselves, everything else is just bullshit. It's just bullshit. So if you think about, if you've ever built a house before, you know, where you want to start is where. It's not with like the roof. You want to start at the what? You got to build a strong what? A strong foundation, okay? And where you start building the strong foundation, just like with a house, is where you're, again, this is from you know, the first video, from the inside out. How do you build a strong foundation with the human being? It's the soul. All right? It's the soul. Remember from last week, you don't have a soul, you are a soul. Okay? You're a soul that's then wrapped around, the next layer around the soul is the emotions or the feelings. The next layer around that, we keep building, guys, the thinking. This is the mental part of it. That's those thoughts. And then we keep building upon, and we build what? The physical part, right? The body. So remember, traditional society, rehabs, worldviews are going to tell you you need to fix the outside and then work your way in. I'm telling you, we have to work from the inside out. Just like if you build the house. So another way to kind of look at that, and I apologize for crossing in front of the camera, I am not a videographer, so please bear with my amateur camera skills, okay? But another way to look at this really quick, guys, is if we're talking about that house again, right? And guys, nor am I an artist. All right, so the house of the foundation is what you can't see. All right, so under here, the foundation, that's that spirituality. That's the soul again. Here we go, the soul. And then the basement is the emotions and the feelings. God, this is just so good. Like, guys, this stuff just hypes me up. Like, this is my shit. I don't know what your shit is. You gotta find it. I'm gonna help you find it. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I'm gonna help you find what it is. But this is my shit. Just gets me so excited. It gets me excited like David Lee Roth and spandex pants circa 1984. Yeah, it gets me excited like that. Well, I mean, maybe not that excited. Regardless, I digress. So, for the foundation of the house, you have spirituality, emotions. Then you're going to start to build, right? Then you have your thoughts. It's the mental piece of this. And then you have like the physical. And this is the body. So this is another way of looking at this here, working from the inside out, or now working from the bottom up, right? You don't build a house and start with the roof. I mean, essentially that's what, you know, society and rehabs are telling you to do. Oh, fix the physical ailments, then fix your thoughts. Well, the problem didn't start there. The problem started here, okay? So, work your way from the bottom to the top. That's how we build the house. What is the bottom? The strong foundation is the soul. What does soul equal? Soul equals authentic self. Authentic self equals higher consciousness. All right? I'm going to give you 3 simple steps. How to get back in touch with your authentic self in 3 simple steps. Well, simple doesn't always equal easy, now does it, guys? The first step in getting back in touch with your authentic self is you have to know who you are. And, you know, when I say know, I don't mean know as in knowledge. I mean know. And the good news is that all of us, everybody, knows who their authentic self really is. You know it. And I'm gonna prove to you that, how you know. You have this intuition. Again, you have this guidance system, this gut, this soul that you can tap into at any point in time that will tell you go left or go right. And the reason you know who you really are is when you don't follow that, you get that feeling of like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have. I knew I should have done XYZ. I knew I should have went left. I knew I shouldn't have run that red light. I knew I should have. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Okay? If you didn't know who you really are, you wouldn't feel the pain of being detached from that. All right? So we always, that's the great news about this, we always know who we really are. So that's the first step, allowing that, like really sitting with yourself and, you know, being with you. All right. So, you know, people say, well, how do I know? Well, you know, you got to get out there and try different things. You know, Miss April, for example, you know, you're going to basically, what you see here is what you're going to get. I'm really not that different in session when I consult with people. I'm not that different in group when I consult with groups. I'm not that different when I do public speaking engagements. I'm in the process of writing a book. When you buy that and read it, because you will, you know, you're going to get that same flavor, all right? I'm really not that different. Now, of course, there are different scenarios where we kind of fine-tune ourselves, right? You're not going to act, you know, one way at family dinner and, you know, act the exact same way if you're meeting, you know, I don't know, like David Lee Roth. Just throwing it out there. Okay? Maybe you will. But you're going to, you know, the core of you is going to be the same. The energy, the essence of you is going to be the same. So you're going to get the same Miss April in pretty much almost any situation. By the way, for those of you who are my peers who hear me refer to myself in third person of Miss April and want to say, oh, she has a personality disorder. No, I just like to have a good time. Sorry. Not sorry. Anyway, you got to know who you are, and you always do. You always, always do. So that's the first step, know who you are. You know, if you think back to when you were a kid, the things you liked, you know, getting back to those simple things in life. And if some of you didn't have a childhood because you had some abuse that went on, I get it, then start trying new things now. Start trying new things now. Try new foods, try new experiences, travel, go to different places. Figure out what your likes are and what, you know, what you don't like. If you know what you don't like, you know what you do like. Really simple, all right? So that's the first step, know who you are. Second step is a little different. This is be who you are. Okay, be. Big difference between knowing and being, all right? Knowing and being. This means you're gonna go for it. You're gonna allow the real you and live true to it. This is the action part of it, all right? The knowing, you're conscious here of who you are. You know, you're aware. But now this is where you're gonna like act on it. This is the action piece. All right, so you're not going to make decisions here. This is the click. You're not going to make decisions based upon what other people think about you. Think about that. So you're not going to do what your mom thinks you should do. You're not going to do what your teachers think you should do. You're not going to do what your peers think you should do. You're going to do what you think you should do. What you know you should do, and you're going to follow that path. That's the path of least resistance. You're going to stay true to you, because again, if you're not, then everything else is going to be null and void and invalid. Everything else is going to be bullshit. It's not going to be authentic, and then you're going to say, my life's not working out for me, and I'm 45 years old and I'm miserable. Well, no shit. Because you ain't living your life. You're living your mommy's life. You're living your daddy's life. You're living society's life. You're living this imagined life that the media projects that you should be living. Man, you know, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. And I'm really getting ahead of myself here because I don't want to give away all the secrets, but that's why you reach for drugs and alcohol. because you're not being true to who you really are. People have this theory that addicts and alcoholics are selfish. It's really not. It's the complete opposite. They're trying to please everybody and trying to be somebody they're not to make somebody else happy, and in turn, they're miserable inside. And guys, you have nobody to blame for that but you. And blame isn't the right word. It's more about taking responsibility. You know, who fucked who? You fucked you. And that's a great thing, because if you fucked you, you can unfuck you. Sorry I have to say that word, but not sorry, because sometimes there's no other way to put it. So, who are you? You have to know who you are. You have to be who you are. And lastly, you have to share who you are. You have to share who you are. How do we do that? You allow others to see the real you. That is some scary shit. Now, you know, I don't recommend for everybody to get on YouTube and create a YouTube channel such as this. You know, you don't have to do that, but it's a great way, right? So here is Miss April. I know who I am, I'm being who I am, and I'm doing my best to share who I am with all of you guys. Now, if you think this isn't going to come with backlash, you got to be ready for it, guys. Because, you know, 9 out of 10 times, in order to live your life true to your authentic self, you're going to have to go left when everybody else is going right. It's just how it is. If I can give you a little bit of a secret, and it's not, you know, it's not always easy, but it's rewarding. You know, you're not going to have regrets when you're true to yourself. You're going to be able to sleep at night. You know, you're not going to have that void anymore. You're not going to be so reliant on what other people think of you and their approval. That desire and drive for the approval of others is just, it slowly releases its grip that it has on you. But if I could sum up everything I'm just telling you right here, you can't give a flying fuck what anybody else thinks about you. You just can't. You got to go all in on you. All in on you. And it's scary, but it's exciting. Okay? And so as long as you're going to be true to you, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And sometimes, I'm going to say this, and this is the part where I'm going to get the mail. I'm going to get the mail, I'm going to get the comments on the channel. You guys are going to message me, because you're not going to like this. Sometimes, drug and alcohol use is part of the path of least resistance that's going to lead you to your authentic self. Sometimes it just is. Now, don't go out and say, well, Miss April said. Don't twist that. I'm not condoning that. There are many other pathways to get to who you really are. All right? But if that's part of the pathway, then you have to make peace with where you are. Because you can't keep pushing against it. It's in the pushing against it that causes the problem. So if you're out there and you're using, be easy about it. Be easy about it, all right? I know it's controversial. I know it's a lot. I know it sounds like very paradoxical things that I'm telling you, but I promise you, if you stay tuned to this channel, your mind is going to be blown in ways that you cannot even imagine right now. So be easy and relax about things. It's going to be a good time, right? So just in summation, why do people use? Because they've become detached from who they really are. They've become detached from the soul. This is the inside out, right? 3 simple steps to live your most authentic life. Know who you are, you know, have that awareness, that intuition. Be who you are. This is the action. You actually make choices based upon your preferences and not somebody else's. And then lastly, you share who you are. You allow others to see the real you. You take the risk. You get vulnerable. How about that? And that's that. So,